Welcome back to Quilt Museum Television from the National Quilt Museum. Let's jump right into this episode by talking about our newest exhibit, New Quilts from an Old Favorite.
Hello, my name is Rachel Barr and I am the museum curator here at the National Quilt Museum. This is our 25th annual New Quilts from an Old Favorite competition. It's coordinated by the National Quilt Museum with sponsorships by Moda Fabrics and Janome. We're so excited. We've got 18 amazing bow tie quilts, an interpretation of the bow tie pattern. That's the new favorite, and the old is the bow tie, the bow tie pattern. And so we have several quilts with that traditional pattern on loan to us from the Indiana State Museum in Indianapolis, and then also from the Kentucky Museum at Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green. Some of the quilts then that you will see here, one of them is called the Perfect Nanny. Mary Poppins comes to mind with that one. We have another one that's called Black Abstract, and you'll be able to see the bow ties quilted into the background of that quilt. Another one is called Bow Doodles, Black Tie and Tails, plus we have 2 entries from Taiwan. So it really is an international competition. So there's just so many interesting, creative, imaginative, interpretive quilts with the traditional bow tie as the foundation. The New Quilts from an Old Favorite exhibit will be here at the National Quilt Museum until June 12th. We look forward to seeing you here. Thank you.
In our next segment, Education Director Becky Glassby is going to talk about one of our youth programs.
Hi, I'm Becky Glassby. I'm the Director of Education here at the National Quilt Museum, and I'd like to share with you today some quilts from our collection and how they've inspired some of our youth quilts and programs here at the museum. You can see some of the quilts behind me. These are what we call footies. They are by Doris McManus, and she was from Missouri. And Doris challenged herself to make a 12-inch by 12-inch or a foot by foot quilt every week for a whole year. So it helped her establish techniques, try out her style, learn what she liked, what she didn't like, try out a lot of variety in materials and ways to work with quilting, and really explore a lot of the interest and the design and her own style and creativity to go with these footies. So using the footies, the Junior Quilters were tasked with making 4 of their own, inspired by these techniques. So we have some hand-quilted footies from Doris, so our Junior Quilters had to try out some hand quilting, which some of them liked, some of them didn't, something that maybe they hadn't done before. We had to do embellishments, so they got to add lots of beads and sequins, buttons, pins, some more hand stitching to put those pieces together, but also machine applique and trying different ideas and creativity for their own style. And then we worked with that layered collage look, so we used lots of different types of fabrics, fleeces, regular quilting cottons, some silks, some suede, other types of materials, things that also Doris used in her footies as well to kind of mix and match those techniques and materials. And then the Junior Quilters, their final footie was doing a journal style quilt, something that meant something to them, something that maybe inspired them, trips they'd taken, people that they look up to, just kind of something that they were interested in, maybe being more creative about, or an idea that got sparked by looking at all of the footies from Doris's collection. And those kind of 4 main techniques are what I used as inspiration for our Junior Quilters footie project.
Hi, my name is Niamh Amaro and I'm a Junior Quilter at the National Quilt Museum. I really enjoy quilting because it's a way to express yourself. It's very creative, and I'm very happy to have my quilts hanging in the Quilt Museum. This is the stripe quilt. We didn't really give it a specific name, but we all used stripes and pieced it however we wanted it, and we did hand quilting on this. And then this is Night, and it was our embellishments quilt, that's what it was. And I really like cats, so I thought it'd be cool to do like this kind of cat theme with the night and everything, and that was really fun. And we had to hand sew those on. That was really hard. That was really And this was our layers quilt, and I themed that one off of a thriller by M. Night Shyamalan called The Village, because I really liked the movie. But I just thought it was cool with all the like woods and the trees. It was really layery, and this part right here, that's really layery too. And then I made a set of 5 instead of a set of 4 because for our Junior quilt, we did a Junior quilt block that was something that really meant a lot to us. And so I made one about jiu-jitsu, and I gave it to my teacher, Miss Amy, at Atmosphere Martial Arts, and she hung it up. But I was like, well, I still need a set of 4, so I made a 5th one. And I made another layers quilt because I saw that fabric and I was like, I can make a girl wearing a sari out of this. And I got really excited. So this is my 5th block, and it's also a layers block. And I pieced it like I did my journal quilt because I like that, like, you know, frayed look, I guess, the frayed edges. But, and then I wanted a background to quilt it. I just did all those lines because I thought, you know, looks like some decorative wall thing, I don't know. But I really enjoyed this project and it was really fun. I always like coming to Junior Quilters because it's like social, you know, I get to see my friends, I get to express myself, I get to do things I like, I get to learn. It's a really great experience. Thanks.
Junior Quilters is a monthly club that meets here at the museum. It's for youth ages 10 to 17. We typically have about 11 or 12 boys and girls in the club at a time. We meet throughout the year and they work on different quilt projects, quilt styles. They get to hone their quilting skills and try an art form and kind of advance in that art form more than they would on their own. At the end of this project, we had each Junior Quilter member choose one of Doris's footies that they really enjoyed getting to know and learn about through the project, and we actually hung those choices from the kids in the main galleries. And so our visitors were able to see some of Doris's quilts. They were able to see how those had inspired our Junior Quilters in their projects. And then we've also got some of our Junior Quilter footies hanging in our Stitching the Future exhibit. All about our education and learning about their styles and kind of getting to explore their own artistry and turn around and be the inspiration for other visitors, other quilters as they come through the museum and see what's going on here with the National Quilt Museum. We hope you get a chance to visit the National Quilt Museum and see the footies for yourself on exhibit in the galleries. And if you aren't able to make it here, we'd love to talk with you. You can visit our website, contact the Quilt Museum at quiltmuseum.org. And for information about our Junior Quilters program, you can go to our website under Education as well.
About a month ago on Facebook, the National Quilt Museum announced that we were starting a Quilt Block of the Month Club. Let's go to Program Administrator Chloe Quint for more information about this program.
A new program that's being offered by the National Quilt Museum is the Block of the Month program. Like other traditional Block of the Months, we'll be releasing something at the first of each month that will come together to form a cohesive quilt that you will make in the end. What's different about ours is that it takes place entirely online. So as we know, in the modern age, quilters are primarily connecting through social media, with our best resource being Facebook. So we have started this new free interactive group where you can connect with one another and then also receive these patterns that are created by artists and bloggers from around the world. Once you create these, you can share them with one another, ask for advice, or just boast about your pattern once you're completed it. Whenever you're finished, you can piece them together and receive a free quilt label from the National Quilt Museum and also have the opportunity to be featured in our gallery in August of 2019. For more information about joining this program, visit quiltmuseum.org/blockofthemonth.
In this month's Quilter Spotlight, we talked to artist Mark Sherman about his quilt Wisteria. Let's go to that interview.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Sherman, and this is my quilt Wisteria. I'm not sure what year I did this in, but it's still one of my favorite quilts. And I'm in one of my favorite places in the entire earth, and that's the National Quilt Museum in Paducah, Kentucky. My favorite town and my favorite place in the town. This was inspired by a Tiffany window done by a Lewis Comfort Tiffany in 1908. What I discovered when I was making this quilt is that the way that hand-dyed fabrics mimic the same things that are done with glass. The modeling, the striations, the modeling like this, and the striations in the purple and the blues. They mimic each other a lot. At the time I was making this quilt, I had even done some experimenting with getting light to come back through the fabric to make it actually look like a real window. I'm still working on that. I'm working on doing larger pieces similar to this one for churches. Stained glass windows are sort of going out of vogue now because they're so expensive to maintain. So churches are resorting to using artwork instead of windows. So that's a project that I have going in the future. It's, like I said, a window done or inspired by Lewis Comfort Tiffany. He's an inspiration to me because as famous as he is, even today, with his lamps and his windows and his artwork, it was not always that easy. He had to do the same thing I did, a lot of experimenting with different things, and things didn't always work out right. For example, he would take stained glass windows and incorporate faces. And he was always frustrated that he had to reverse paint the glass in order to get the face to show up. He wanted to be able to do that some way using enamel or something within the glass itself. In his windows that have angel wings or whatever, he was able to actually reproduce glass that has waves in it that they call, oh goodness, it's gone out of my mind now, but it reproduces actually the garments that the people in the windows are wearing. There's one story about him where he was commissioned to do a chapel for a very famous socialite in New York City. And when the chapel was finished and she looked at it, she didn't like it. And he removed the exhibit and put it in his barn on 4th Avenue in New York. And of course, you may know the story about that. His house and part of that barn burnt down. As a result, the chapel years later was installed in Florida in the Morris Museum. So you can see it there. If you've never been there, it's a great place to visit. At any rate, when you see the chapel, it will literally bring you to tears how beautiful it is. And the thought that somebody didn't like the chapel when he completed it, it just shows you that as much as famous as he is, he had his ups and downs as well. Anyway, as far as any advice that I might have for quilters, my biggest advice is to decide what it is you want. Learn how to ask for it sometimes, and then don't ever give up. I remember my first time that I was in the museum, I was walking around here with a docent, and she was explaining different things. And I stopped her halfway through the tour, and I said, you know what, I'm going to have a quilt in this museum one day. And sure enough, here it is. So decide what it is you want, but then don't ever give up on your dream. Whatever it is you want to do, you can do it. Just keep going. Bye for now, but if you can make it to the National Quilt Museum, it's an incredible place to visit. And they can always use your support as far as financially. It's run by donations, so keep that in mind too. Visit their website and make a donation to the National Quilt Museum and keep this going for many, many years to come. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
In the interview with Mark Sherman, you heard him mention that the National Quilt Museum is a 501c3 nonprofit organization We definitely need the support of everyone passionate about quilting to make the museum work. For more information on how to support the museum, simply go to quiltmuseum.org/get involved. We are just a few weeks away from AQS Quilt Week here in Paducah, Kentucky. If you're coming to Quilt Week, there are a whole lot of things going on that week here at the museum. We definitely want you to come and take advantage of each one. For a full schedule of what the museum is doing during AQS Quilt Week, go to quiltmuseum.org, and on the home page you'll see a button that says Quilt Week Schedule. Click on that button and you'll see all our activities. We will see you here during Quilt Week. Lastly, we are very excited about the Quilt Museum's exhibit schedule this year. Please go to the website and check out our entire year of exhibits. It's one of the best schedules we've had in a long time. There's something there for everyone. Thank you for watching this month's episode of Quilt Museum TV. To watch future episodes, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow our Facebook. We'll see you next month.